Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol O Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari
Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari
O Gaura He Gaura He Gaura He Gaura He
Gaura
O Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe
Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe
Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe
Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe
Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe
O Radhe 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 Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Ganhavika Girit Hari Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Amasto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Amasto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Amasto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Amasto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Mahabhagavat Shila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Arupanuga Guru Vargya Ki Jai Ananta Guru Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi
Hari
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 Bol.
Bol Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tamayatayo Taravo Benedustam Sarvabhutam Hridimunanatoshmi. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And the same again unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. All glories to the Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams. So, thank you all very much for coming. Nice to see you all again. So we'll continue with reading our Jaiva-Dharma. And we're up to the last. So the last 4 verses.
Jaiva-Dharma Pate se Shuddha Bhakti hoy, Jaiva-Dharma na padiho kabu Bhakti noy. One who reads Jaiva-Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva-Dharma can never attain Bhakti. Rupanuga Abhiman Pate Drida hoy, Jaiva-Dharma Vimukha ke Dharma hi na khoy. Faithfully reading Jaiva-Dharma will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva-Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles.
He's mentioning Rupa Goswami because we understand Rupa Goswami is carrying the essence, the Siddhanta Sar, coming from Sachinandan Gaura Hari into this world. Mahaprabhu, he only gave us 8 verses, but Rupa Goswami, he carried all of those, he opened out all those 8 verses. He was for 10 days in Prayag, receiving at the Ashwamedha Ghat, receiving the instructions from Mahaprabhu directly, just only 10 days. Sanatan Goswami was with Mahaprabhu for 2 months in Varanasi, but Rupa Goswami was only 10 days in Prayag, and he received the very essence of what is this rasa tattva, what is this braja ras, what was the heart that Mahaprabhu wanted to give in the world. And the principal teaching that he wanted to give at this particular time was to let the devotees know, or let the whole condition, the population, understand about Parakiya Ras. Without the explanation of Parakiya Ras, then this Braj Ras has no real meaning without the essence of Parakiya. Swakiya, we understand that marital relationship. This means that the husband thinks that the wife belongs to him, or the wife thinks that the husband belongs to her. Swa means own, swakiya. So this relationship is limited. It's called samanjasaha, rati. 3 types of rati. There's Sadarani rati of Kubja, and the samanjasa of the queens, and samartha rati of the gopis. But this samanjasa rati doesn't control Krishna. It's only the samartha rati of the Brajadevis. Only they can control Krishna by their love. And this is manifested in the form of parakiya. We understand about unnata ujjvala prem. We know the beautiful verse, anapita chirim chirat kuruna bharatino kalo samadapaitam unnata ujjvala rasam. This is why Mahaprabhu has advented. He's come to taste that unnata ujjvala ras. So what is that ujjvala unnata ras? He's come to give the jiva service to this mood. But he's come to taste himself. Prem ras niryase korite ashwadan. He's come to taste this prem. What sort of prem? This unnata ujjvala ras. That unnata ujjvala ras means parakiya, because it's the highest. In Dwarka, the queens can reach the stage of anurag. We have sneha, man, pranaya, rag, anurag. The queens of Dwarka can reach the stage of anurag. But then there's bhav, mahabhav, modan, mohan, madanakya mahabhav, that there's stages after, that only the Brajaramanis experience that stage because of the parakiya nature. It's the parakiya nature, this unwedded relationship, that excites and increases the rasa, especially in Vrindavan. How many times does Krishna have to dress up as a female singer or a female Vidyavali coming from the heavenly planets, etc., to break Sri Radhika's man? The gopis never feel that they own Krishna, not like in Swakiya. They always are submissive to Krishna. The relationship is the very, 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 very sweetest. But prior to Mahaprabhu, and especially prior to Rupa Goswami, this parakiya was very much condemned by general devotees. Even after Rupa Goswami in Jaipur, we understand that Govinda was there with Radhika, and the Smarta Brahmins, the Ramanuja sect, they wouldn't allow Radhika on the altar with Govinda Dev. Baladev Vidyabhushan had to go there and write his Govinda Bhasya to allow Radhika to be on the altar with Govinda Dev. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Radha Govinda today. So all of this is manifesting by the potency of Rupa Goswami. We're living here in this Dham of Gora, and we should become very familiar with Rupa Goswami's teachings in particular, because these teachings, along with all the Goswami's teachings, Raghunath Das in particular, Krishnadas Kaviraj, are carrying us into the Vrindavan conception
that Mahaprabhu wanted to give. And its platform is Parakya Ras, which in the material world is abominable. So how are we going to reconcile that and appreciate this Parakya, that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is dancing with other men's wives? How we can possibly reconcile that? It's not so easy. Certainly a Paka South Indian Brahmin coming from Kerala or somewhere like this, how will they be able to reconcile that that Supreme Lord is now taking other men's wives? Because they haven't understood the dynamic of Parakya. All the gopis, all of them, millions of them, they're all manifesting directly from Sri Radhika. They're all Radhika Kaya Vyuha. They're all coming from her body. Why are they coming from her body? To satisfy Krishna. One gopi is not sufficient to satisfy that Supreme Lord. He's satisfied when millions of gopis, and they all have a similar mood to Radhika in the sense that they want to please Krishna with every part of their existence. So all these other millions of gopis, and they're all Krishna's Shaktis, all of them, they're all his eternal Shaktis from Goloka Vrindavan, from the Apricot Leela, they're all his Shaktis, all of these personalities represented in the form of the Braj Devis. So they come to this world to demonstrate to us the beauty of this Unnata Ujjvala Ras. It's so exceptional, and it's disguised in a sense with the conception of Parakya within there, so that morally smarter Brahmins, they won't go near it. They'll think, oh no, this can't be correct. But this is actually the condition in Goloka Vrindavan, that all the gopis, they, in Goloka Vrindavan, Apricot, they don't actually have husbands, but they have the conception that they have husbands, so that they can engage in this very exciting parakya. They have to run out at night, in the middle of the night, leaving all their families, etc., behind. This is like a test for the degree of their attraction to Krishna. Are they ready to leave their whole families, their shame, their shyness, their whole chastity, etc., their pride? Are they ready to leave all of that to go for Krishna? Yes, they are. So this is being demonstrated in the world because of the Parakya Bhav. And it was Yoga Maya herself, who's none other than Swarup Shakti Sri Radhika, who arranged this. Krishna and Radha were ready to be married. I've told this story so many times, but we know the story at Pilipuka, when Radhika is serving in Yashoda Ma's kitchen, and she puts haldi on Sri Radhika's hands, turmeric paste. And then this is a sign of engagement. So Radhika, she goes, she becomes very shy and gets embarrassed, and then she goes back to Varshana from Nandagaon. She's not married yet. And she tries to wash it off in this puku, this pond, but the whole pond becomes yellow. Today we can go and see it, Pili Puka. And some little children, they see, oh, Radhika, she's washing off this turmeric, this haldi from her hands. She must have been given a proposal from Mother Yashoda to be married. So they go and tell everybody in the village of Varshana. They all become so excited, so happy. Oh, Radha and Krishna are going to be married. How wonderful. So Kirtidar, Rishabhana Maharaj, they make a nice gift in a big basket and send it across to Mother Yashoda to have confirmation of this. This is called Leela, because we're studying a lot of Tattva. If we don't have some Leela in here, it'll become a little dry. So we have to have the Leela balancing here. So when Nanda Baba and Yashoda, they receive this gift from Kirtidar and Rishabhana, they think immediately, oh, they're accepting a marriage proposal, because everyone loves Radhika the most in all of Braj. She's the most respectable personality, and they love Krishna the most. And even like in Indian society today, they're always thinking about marriage. If you go into any family home, they're always thinking about marriage. When is their son getting married, their daughter? It really predominates the consciousness here in India. It's like that. It's like perpetuating the dynasty, so to speak. Even all the kings in Srimad Bhagavatam, they have to have a son to perpetuate the dynasty, etc. So this consciousness pervades. So then when Yashoda receives this gift, immediately they send another reciprocal gift back to Kirtidar and Vrishabhana Maharaj, confirming, yes, the marriage is on. So then all the residents of Varshana become so festive and happy because this is actually going to happen. And then Purnamasi, she comes into the village. Purnamasi is directly Yogamaya. And she says, what is the festival? Why is everyone so happy? And they say, don't you know? Radha and Krishna are going to be married. So then Purnamasi says, oh, this is wonderful. Let's immediately do their astrological charts. So she sits in the dust and she makes all the different houses. Everyone sits down and they all watch. First house, best match conceivable. Second house, best, couldn't get a better connection. All the way through until the 12th house. When it comes to the 12th house, Purnamasi goes very, very silent. And they all, what do you see? What do you see? And she says, I see in this 12th house that if they actually get married, even though they're so compatible, but if they get married, one of them must die. Bang. That's the end of it. They all know Purnamasi has spoken. That's the end. They won't get married. Everyone is like shocked, disheartened, totally unhappy. And then a couple of weeks later, Purnamasi says, actually, Radhika, she should marry that Abhimanyu, that son of Jyotila and daughter. What? Jyotila? She's the most envious person in all of Braj. Who is arranging all this? This is Yogamaya. For the Leela to take place in Vrindavan of Parakiya. So it's not Radha and Krishna who are desiring this Parakiya Ras. Yogamaya Devi herself, she knows what is going to create the most beautiful, sweet, tasteful, loving relationship with no boundaries. You see, Swakiya Ras has boundaries. Marital relationship has boundaries. But this Parakiya Ras has no boundaries. So it can attain the very highest stage of this Unnata Ujjvala Prem. So without this Parakiya Ras, then Braja Ras, which is what Mahaprabhu's come to Benedict give us, can't actually manifest without understanding this Parakiya. So this Parakiya is all arranged by Yogamaya Devi, who is Swarup Shakti Radha herself. So this is how this part, and this is who is Rupa. We're saying here that the Abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Rupa Goswami, this is what it indicates when we think of Rupa Goswami. We think he gave us the Parakiya conception in such a way that it was digestible. Actually, Mahaprabhu had to come personally and inspire this. Otherwise, people would not have been able to accept it. Krishna's dancing with other men's wives. This is going against Dharma completely. How is that conception going to manifest in the world? So only by Mahaprabhu's advent and the teachings of Rupa Goswami. So here it's saying, will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as a Rupanuga follower of Rupa Goswami. This is going to be described in the last 14 chapters of this Jaiva-Dharma. But it's very important to understand it in the beginning also. Where are we going with this Jaiva-Dharma? We're going to Goloka Vrindavan. We're going to Braja Ras. We're going to appreciate what is Parakiya Ras, what is Parakiya Bhav. This is where we're going. Because we have to, if we're becoming inspired by these chapters and we're chanting sufficiently, it's like filling the car up with petrol. Once you've got a full tank, where are you going to drive it to? You have to know clearly the direction. If you're not crystal clear on the road where you're going, then you're not going to be able to go into 4th and 5th and 6th gear. You're just going to be going very slowly along. You have to be absolutely clear on what is the Siddhanta. What is the Siddhanta Sar? Sara means essence. What is the essence of Siddhanta? Is to bring us to this Braja Ras, Bhakti Ras, because this is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. So that's a little aspect about Rupanuga. One who does not read, averse to reading Jaiva-Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles. That means he doesn't want to understand these conceptions.
Java Jivane Je Pade Jaiva Dharma Bhaktivan Se Dhyanamrita Jnana Karma
One who faithfully reads Jaiva-Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of Gyan and Karma.
By absorbing ourselves in devotion, bhakti, naturally the dry, thorny thickets of Gyan will go far away. And any sort of karma, desire for this world's pleasure, will also just evaporate very easily. Jnana karmadi anavritam. They will easily go away. And then uttam bhakti will actually reign in the heart. This pure devotion, Shuddha bhakti, will reign very easily. Once this, because when we're first beginning this path, we do need a lot of gyan because we have a lot of ignorance. The gyan will purify the avidya. The vidya will purify the avidya so that we can see clearly our path. But we have to know ourselves personally, where is the cutoff point? Not that we just keep studying and studying and studying for the rest of our lives, volumes and volumes of different literatures. We need to catch the essence of what is Shuddha Bhakti, what is pure Bhakti. And this Jaiva-Dharma is going to give nothing but that. These conceptions are going to be explained. We've already discussed the beautiful aspects of Jiva Tattva, how it's manifesting from Chit Shakti, which is the purest state of consciousness. And we have that purest state of consciousness, but it's become covered by our own material desires, that nishag conception. Okay.
Krishna Rama Seva Labhi Se Nara Seva Sukha Magna Raha Sada Krishna Para.
Such a man, being fully devoted to Shri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service.
This is where we're going. This is our prayojan. This is our goal. This Amala Prem Seva. How can I serve that divine couple? As I've just been saying, we have to be familiar with the Leela of Braj so that the Tattva will sit comfortably with us. Otherwise, the Tattva will become very dry without the sweetness and purity of the Leela. The Leela is the principle, but the Tattva has to be there. Otherwise, it will become Sahajya. If you just try and jump into the Leela without fully making strong the Tattva, you definitely will just go a Sahajya way. We see many times the Babajis in Radhakund, places like this, they're so immersed in the Leela that they don't know very much Tattva. So therefore there's some imbalance there. Everything is described in this Jaiva-Dharma very, very beautifully. It's simple. So we're up to page 384, is that right?
385.
385, okay. We read this first. Just read this translation of on bottom of page 384, chapter 17. So understand where we've come from. We've come from Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These three prameyas about Krishna. Krishna as that Supreme Person, Krishna as Shakti Tattva, and Rasabdim. Krishna as that Akila Rasamrita Sindhu. These three aspects about Krishna, because we're scrolling through the Dasamula now. The Prameya is the first one, but there's only 9 actually. The Praman rather is the first one, but there's only actually 9 truths that are presented. So 3 about Krishna and 3 about the Jiva. So now we're into the 3rd chapter about the Jiva. We did Vibhinamsa Tattva, and we did the Jiva that was controlled by Maya. So now we've got the Jiva that is going to be liberated from Maya. This is where we're going. This is the journey. Okay, so yes, the Jiva and the indwelling Paramatma.
The Jiva and the indwelling Paramatma both reside in the body like 2 birds in the same tree.
That means that Krishna, that particle of Krishna, Kshiradakshai Vishnu, is within every single Jiva in existence. So that should be very empowering for us to appreciate. Every single Jiva has Paramatma. including us. Of course, we have to appreciate that.
The jiva is sunk in the bodily conception of life because of his attachment to material sense
Because of
enjoyment.
his attachment to material sense gratification, not for any other reason. Krishna is not a brute. He's not a master who wants to beat you. He loves you. We are the ones who are making our suffering come about through our attraction to the material energy.
Bewildered by Maya, he cannot find any means of deliverance, and thus he laments and falls down.
It's very bewildering, this illusory potency. We get completely covered the thickness of the material desires. They cover us and they throw us. Prakshakmika. They throw us into this material whirlpool where we take it very, very seriously. We take our bodies so seriously. We take our minds so seriously. We take everything so seriously about the material energy. And therefore we get completely pulled down by it.
When the jiva has darshan of the other person within his heart, namely the Supreme Lord, who is served eternally by his unalloyed bhaktas, he witnesses Krishna's uncommon glories. He then becomes free from all lamentations and attains his glorious position as Krishna's
So how
servant.
do we see Paramatma? Brahma, Bhuta, Prasanatmana, na sochati, na kanchati, sama sarveshu bhuteshu, madbhaktim lavyate param. This point of liberation from the material attraction brings great joy. And in that great joy, one can focus fully on the Supreme Lord without any baggage, so to speak, with not carrying any misconceptions about his material identity. So this point of liberation is very important for the jiva to actually attain. But this isn't the impersonal liberation. This is liberation from our material attachments so that one can, madbhaktim labhyate param, so that one can serve Krishna. This we have to understand is the essence of that shloka, so that we can give our full lives to Krishna when we become liberated from this material, illusory consciousness. And it takes time. It's not just going to happen overnight. So many distractions can come along the way. So we have to make our sadhan bhajan very strong and clear. And the only sadhan that we have to practice is to focus on bhav bhakti. I've said this many times. Unless the sadhan is focused on bhav, it's not really even sadhan. It has to focus on bhav bhakti. Otherwise, why are we chanting? We're chanting to acquire that consciousness of bhav bhakti. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prem Suryavam Samyamak Ruchi Bis Chitam Rishnu Shud Asho Bhav Uchyate. This will be described in the 22nd chapter more explicitly. Okay.
Vrajanath. This shloka states that when the jiva sees the worshipable Lord, he becomes free forever from all anxieties.
Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. It's the same. Yes.
And directly perceives his magnificence. Does this imply liberation?
So when you say perceives his magnificence, that doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have darshan of the Supreme Lord at that particular point. It means you appreciate the Lord's energy within this universe, within this world where we live, more than you appreciate the mayic aspect of it. You've turned away from the attraction and you've turned towards the glory and beauty and sattvic aspect of Krishna completely. You've just absorbed yourself in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have direct darshan of Krishna. That may happen or may not happen depending on our adhikar. But it means you've turned away from the, your heart has definitely turned from the attraction to this world, to your material desires. What does Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Sochatina? no more suffering, and as soon as you don't want anything from this world, the nature of the mind every second is I want, I want, I want, I want, I want, I want. It's like that in the conditioned state, always wanting, 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 wanting. But the nature of the soul doesn't want anything. It's completely silent because it has no relationship with this material world. The soul really has no relationship with this world, but it's given full power to the mind to have a relationship. It's allowed the mind to get entangled by it. It's a journey, but it's a wonderful journey because we see the light because of Mahaprabhu's mercy, because of Rupa Goswami's mercy. It's very clear where we're going. So it's very energetic, it's very blissful. Even in the early stages, it's a completely blissful journey.
Babaji, liberation means to be released from the clutches of Maya.
Yes, only.
Only those who have the association of saintly people attain this liberation. But the real subject of research is the glorious position that one receives after attaining liberation.
Please always remember this point. You can underline it. You can write it in your notebook. But always it's after liberation. What is the next step? Because this is the path of liberation we've explained many times is what most practitioners are seeking. If you go anywhere in the world and there's a spiritual society other than this Hare Krishna, even within the Hare Krishna, the devotees themselves are thinking that liberation, I want to be liberated. I want to be freed. Of course you want to be freed from the suffering. If someone is sticking a pin into you, you want to be freed from it, of course. But the objective of that freedom is not just to get freed from the suffering. There is a much higher aspiration for the jiva to catch. And that's what happens after liberation. And that's to remember and serve that Unnata Ujjvala Prem we just described. Because this is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. It's called Swabhakti Shriyam. This is in that same verse, Anapita Chirim Chirat. This is written by Rupa Goswami, this verse. It's the fourth verse of Adi Lila. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 1, verse 4. And it's describing what Mahaprabhu is giving to the jiva, this Swabhakti Shriyam. Actually, that describes Manjari Bhav. We are being benedicted with that opportunity to serve Sri Radhika. And we've understood from Shakti Tattva how Radhika is the supreme energetic controller of everything in this world. She's manifesting everything from Radhika. How could we not be attracted to Radhika? She is the greatest devotee of Krishna, Aradhanam. Aradhanam means to worship. She's the greatest worshipper of Krishna. How can I not be attracted to serve and worship her as Swarup Shakti? So the Tattva and the Leela simultaneously are there. So we appreciate that. Okay.
Muktir hitavanyata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 10th chapter, 6th shloka. The jiva in his original constitutional form is a pure servant of Krishna. When he falls down into the darkness of nescience, he has to accept gross and subtle material bodies.
This is the only reason why we accept the subtle body and the gross body, because we have fallen down from our perfected position in Chit Shakti. He doesn't read English so well, but I'm very happy to see you, but we just have to finish. We'll be 20 more minutes. Is okay? Okay.
No problem.
So he falls down and has to accept the subtle and gross bodies. Why does he have to accept the subtle and gross bodies? It's a gift. Who gives that gift? Shivji. Shivji gives the gift of the false ego, because the jiva wants to enjoy matter so much, like a little child crying, I want a gun, I want a gun. And father's saying, no, it's dangerous. No, I want it. Okay, take it. And then he shoots, you know. We want a body to enjoy this material world. Otherwise, how can we enjoy matter? We can't enjoy matter without a material body and a subtle body to have the desires to enjoy matter. So it's all like a misconception. It's all Maya Devi that is attracting us to enjoy matter. Understand? Is it really clear? We can understand it, but to bring the realization will come through the chanting and the sadhana bhajan. When Krishna sees our sincerity, yes, I want to understand this more than anything else in existence. There's nothing more important in life than this. Nothing more important in life than this. Then you approach it with that mood of complete dedication. And with that dedicated mood, Krishna must bestow his mercy. He's bound to bestow his mercy to the sincere seeker.
Liberation means to abandon these extraneous forms completely and to be situated in one's original spiritual swarupa.
Yes. So only when the subtle and gross body are eliminated and purified can the pure soul, because we got the subtle body and we got the gross body because we wanted to enjoy matter. So when we stop trying to enjoy matter, naturally the gross body will start to settle down. And when that happens for some period of time, then the subtle body becomes very purified because he's only looking towards Krishna. He's only absorbing his whole 24 hours of the day in where is Krishna? How can I serve Krishna? How can I serve Guru? How can I serve the Vaishnavas? Somehow or other, I want to serve the Dham. I want to do this seva. This seva is what will be purified. This is the symptom of love. So when that starts to become totally overwhelmingly absorbing for the sadhak, then he's going to relinquish even the subtle desires. This is like the Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. No more hankering, no more wanting, no more desiring. As soon as the desiring ceases, as soon as I really don't want it, like just now before we came, we had a class on Bhagavatam. We're discussing Jad Bharat. He's a completely purified soul. He's a Jnani Bhakta, but he has no material desires whatsoever. He'll carry the palanquin of Maharaj Rahugana. He's not affected by any type of material situation because he has no desire to even touch this material world with his subtle body. So he's a liberated soul. Jad Bharat, he's a liberated soul. But his destination is not as fortunate as our destination can be because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there. Rupa Goswami is not there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not there. This Bhakti Ras has not been explained to Jad Bharat. So his destination is a different destination, Vaikuntha perhaps, but not Goloka Vrindavan. Our destination is so extraordinary. It's so extremely, it's the pinnacle. In the whole day of Lord Brahma, 8,640,000,000 years, that's a long time. Remind me after the class, I'll show you a map with this very clear on it. But there's a beautiful map of the day and the night of Lord Brahma. And Krishna only appears once in that whole 8 billion years. And Mahaprabhu comes straight after that to explain who was Krishna. Otherwise, nobody would know who was Krishna. And we are sitting right at that time. Our fortune is incredible. The demigods are queuing up to take birth now, because it's only at this time that we can get this Svabhakti Shriyam, this service to the Supreme, in Unnata Ujjvala Ras. It's only at this time that these topics will be spoken about, and they won't be spoken about for so much longer, a few more 100 years perhaps. And then again, they will become covered by the material energy. They're only here, it's only like a small window that's open. So we have to be very enthusiastic to grab these truths. Okay.
This half shloka explains that liberation means to abandon these other forms and to be situated in one's swarup. Attaining one's constitutional position is the necessary for the jiva. The work of liberation is complete the moment the jiva is released from the clutches of Maya. Then, so many activities begin once he attains his natural constitutional position. This is the fundamental necessity of attainment, Mula Prayojana of the jiva. Freedom from intense misery can be called liberation, but following liberation, there is another stage in which a person achieves spiritual happiness, Chit Sukh. That state is described in the Chandogya
This
Upanishad.
is such an important aspect to appreciate. As I just said, 99% of the spiritual practitioners are following the path of Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. Moksha is the principle. But we are hearing now, no, it's not the principle. There's the Panch Purusartha, the fifth Purusartha, which is Prem. So how to develop this? This is the map that you can look at. Maybe you've seen this map, you can pass it around. That's the day and the night of, you can put this on the camera. Maybe Rasamanjari will post it somehow. But this is the day and the night of Lord Brahma. 1 day and 1 night. And in 1 day and 1 night, Krishna, he only comes one time. Many avatars, Matsya, Korma, Varaha, Nrsimha, all avatars coming. But only one time, Rajendra Nandan Shamsundara comes. And straight after him comes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only once in the day of Lord Brahma. It's a powerful diagram. Okay, you can read that verse.
Evam evaisha samprasado samach charirat samuttaya param jyoti rupa sampadhya sevna rupena binispadyate sa uttama purushaha sa tatra parayeti jakshan kridan ramamanaha. When the jiva achieves liberation, he transcends the gross and subtle material bodies and is situated in his own non-material spiritual state.
So that makes complete sense, doesn't it? I've just explained, we have the gross and we have the subtle body so that we can enjoy Maya. We can enjoy matter. If we don't want to enjoy matter, what's the function of the material gross body? What's the function of the subtle body? Except to do service for Guru and Gauranga. This is the purpose of our bodies when we become liberated, is to engage our bodies and subtle bodies in service to the Lord. So there's a purpose to it. But the activity of turning towards the Chit Shakti is where we're actually going. So we have to drop that connection with matter, which is the subtle and the gross bodies. It's very logical, rational, huh?
Complete with his spiritual effulgence, spiritual state, complete with his spiritual effulgence.
That means the individual jiva. We have our spiritual identity. Therefore, your spiritual nature is very, very pure and effulgent. It has to be pure to associate in service to that which is most pure, which is Krishna and his associates. Obviously, because we've had it impure, associating with what was impure. Now our desire is to reinstate our pure constitution in Chit Shakti, and then we are eligible for seva in Goloka Vrindavan. This is the journey.
He then becomes transcendently situated. In that spiritual atmosphere, he becomes absorbed in enjoyment, bhog, activities, krida, and bliss, ananda.
Yes. This is the liberated condition of the jiva in transcendence, not from the material body. This is what we're really, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is cutting through. It's not this dharma, artha, karma, moksha. It's not that. That's there. And we can achieve that state, that Brahmabhuta state that I've just described from Bhagavad Gita. But it's what's afterwards that's most important.
Vrajanath, what are the symptoms of those who are liberated from Maya? Babaji, they have 8 symptoms, which Chandogya Upanishad describes as follows. Chandogya Upanishad 8.7.1 Ya Atma Pahata Papma Vijaro Vimrityur Vishoka Vijighastatso Pipasa Satyakama Satyasankalpa So Nveshtavyaha. The liberated soul has 8 qualities. He is freed from all sinful activity, as well as the addiction to sinful activities that arises because of the nuisance of Maya.
He has no more attraction to Maya, in other words. It's the same as when we discuss what is the qualification of Sadguru. Tasmat Mai, what's that? Tasmat Mai, that verse, Tasmat Guru Prapatyeta Jignashu Sre Uttamam Brahmani Shabde Prama
Shabde
Vishrantam Brahmani
Brahmani
Upashama Shreyam. 3 qualities of Sadguru. First of all, he's knowledgeable. Second, he's realized in that knowledge, not just Gyan, but Vigyan. And the third, what we're talking about here now, he's totally unattached to anything in this material world at all. At all. Then he's qualified for that place as Sadguru. If he's attached to any sort of aspect of this material world, there's some purification that needs to be improved upon. He's not pure. He's not on the Uttam platform. Okay?
He is not subject to the miseries of old age. He always remains young and fresh and has no tendency to decay.
I can remember my Gurudev, he had the heart like of a child so many times. He would be so frivolous and just completely liberated from any conception of old age. Of course, his external body is going to age, but his youthful mentality and heart was always prominent in all of his aspects.
He never comes to an end or dies. He is never morose. He has no sensual desires. He has a natural inclination towards serving Krishna with no other desires, and all of his desires become realized. These 8 qualities are absent from the Baddha Jiva.
My Gurudev would have a festival 365 days of the year. Every single day, my Gurudev would have different people wherever he was traveling, and it would always become like a festival, like a program, every single day. But he never felt for a minute that he was serving his Gurudev sufficiently. He always had the feeling that my Gurudev is not satisfied sufficiently with me. This is the mood of the pure devotee. He never feels like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He just performed a miracle. He knew it was never him who performed the miracle. He knew Krishna was making all the arrangements, and constantly he was always glorifying his Gurudev. He always knew that aspect of worshipping his Gurudev. So that mood of humility is there when these qualities manifest also. So this is important to appreciate. As we're practicing our sadhana, the mood of Trinadapi Sunichena must be constantly being reminded to us, to bring us to that. Because it's only by this, what's that, Kirtana Sadahari, that only by this mood can we perform our chanting. Kirtanya Sadahari, only by embracing these qualities of humility. So our chanting is the backbone, so to speak, of our practice, but it must be with humility.
Rajanath, it is said in the Dashamula Shloka The good fortune of the Jiva who is wandering aimlessly in the material world arises when he meets a Rasika Vaishnava who relishes the nectar of Hari. One might raise the objection that one could eventually attain Hari Bhakti by performing pious activities such as Ashtanga Yoga and cultivating Brahma Gyan.
Hmm.
Babaji, these
These truths, by the way, are described in the first chapter of Madhurya Kadambini. Madhurya Kadambini is by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, is a very, very powerful treatise on what is bhakti. And in the first chapter, it's saying, where does bhakti come from? Does it come from pious activities? Does it come from Brahma Gyan? Is this where it's coming from? And always the answer is no, no. Bhakti is independent. She comes from herself. And that independent bhakti is residing in the heart of the pure devotee. And it's only by that transmission, and this has to be a live transmission. We had a group here a few months ago. Many Ritviks came from Mysore. Very nice people. But they didn't understand this fact. They thought they could get bhakti. They thought they could get connection with Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada when he's not even on the planet. This is completely bogus. This is an opposidantic conception, because bhakti has to come from the heart of one who has it. You can't get bhakti unless you're in the presence of that guru who has bhakti. It's not possible. You can't get bhakti from Jiva Goswami or Sanatan Goswami or Rupa Goswami or Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada if you didn't meet him. You have to get bhakti from someone who has bhakti now, because it's like a direct transmission. It's direct. It's a mystical consideration. It comes from the heart of the pure devotee, and it'll come into the heart. Has to be directly transmitted.
Babaji, these are Sri Krishna's own words. Na rodayati mam yogo na shankyam dharma evacha na swadhyasya tapas tyago neshtam purtam na dakshina vratani yajnasya chandamsi tirtani niyama yamaha yatavarunde satsanga sarva sangapango hi mam. Sri Bhagavan said, I am not controlled by those who perform yoga, study Sankhya philosophy, perform religious duties and pious activities, study the Vedas, perform penances and austerities, practice renunciation or accept sannyasa, perform sacrifice and welfare activities, give donations in charity, practice fasting and other vows, perform yajna, chant confidential mantras, go on pilgrimage, and follow all the rules and regulation for spiritual life.
You see, these are all the activities that we do. As devotees, we do these activities, but we have the one ingredient of associating with saintly people. If you do all these regular activities, coming to the Holy Dham, chanting, fasting, all the things that it's mentioning here, but you don't associate with saintly people, what is the value? If you go to holy places and just take a bath, but you don't associate with the people who there, residing there, the holy people, then it's without value. We have to connect with that bhakti that's in the heart of that sadhu. That is what is going to be explained.
However, one who accepts Sat Sangha, which destroys all material attachments, can control me. How much can I say? Ashtanga Yoga can slightly satisfy me indirectly, but Sadhu Sangha controls me completely.
Very important. So important. You know, we have to, if we just simply desire that satsanga, it's Krishna's job to arrange for us to have that satsanga. If we sincerely want that, if we sincerely want to meet those saintly personalities, Krishna will arrange it wherever we are. He'll arrange us to come into contact with that infusion, because it's coming from the heart of one who has bhakti. Aham bhakta paradino yashvatantra idvajija. Krishna is saying to Durvasa, you know, I am controlled completely by those bhaktas. When Durvasa Rishi was running from the Sudarshan chakra, when he tried to incinerate Ambarish Maharaj, Durvasa Rishi tried to kill Ambarish Maharaj, who was a great devotee. This Sudarshan Chakra killed that demon and then chased Durvasa Rishi all over the universe. And Durvasa Rishi ran to Shivji, he ran to Brahma. Neither of them said, we can't stop this. Sudarshan Chakra comes from Krishna. And then he eventually runs to Lord Narayan. Then Lord Narayan, he says this verse to him, Aham Bhakta Paradino Yashvatantra Ibadija. Sadubhya Bhaktiya Grihasta Bhaktiya Janas Priyatmana. That I'm only controlled by my bhaktas. Durvasa had to come and beg forgiveness from Ambarish to save himself from that chakra. Krishna loves his bhaktas. He loves the devotees. He loves his devotees more than he loves that devotee. What happens when you do a lot of austerities, or when you do a lot of parikramas, or when you do a lot of like chanting or something, or studying? So often you can become proud. If you become proud of doing those activities, other people will pat you on the back. Oh, you're doing so good. And if you take that seriously, that pride is going to be like a huge obstacle. That pratishta will come in the heart. And you can't connect with that Supreme who is beyond this material world. At Hoxaja, inconceivable. If we are having that pride in our various practices. So this path is very sensitive. It's very delicate. It's not so easy, really. Okay. It is stated in
It is
Hari.
also stated in Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya, Yasya yat sangati pumso manivat syat sa tad gunaha swakular kulardaitot dhiman swa yuthani eva samshrayet. Just as a jewel or a crystal reflects the color of the object with which it is in contact, so a person develops qualities according to the company he keeps.
If we sit with sadhus, just like Narada Muni, he was little boy and he was serving the Bhaktivedantas, actually the four Kumaras. He was serving them. And by that association, and one time he was allowed to take the remnants of their foodstuffs, and with their permission, and taking that remnants, he became completely liberated from this material world. And then by great fortune, he just left his family, mother, etc., died from a snake bite, and then he left. But it was that association that gave the young boy that direct, and also even Prahlad, he's taking association in the womb of Narada Rishi. So many descriptions of those great souls who, by association, have attained the ultimate. Even Dhruva Maharaj, he associated with his mother, Suniti. She was also a great devotee. She sent him to the forest to pray for Krishna, to look for Krishna, to fulfill his material desire. All the way through this association. And when we see the association is not there, like in Bharat Maharaj, for example, when he sees the deer jumping, there's no sadhu sangha there to actually say, hey, don't play around with this deer all the time. What about your bhajan? You're neglecting your bhajan. He had no association for that. So therefore he had to take birth as a deer. So this was the condition without sadhu sangha. We see all the way through. And this is the truth, only by that sadhu sangha, but particularly for bhakti, because bhakti resides in the heart of the sadhu. I think we should stop now. This is a good place to stop. Oh, just read the next paragraph.
Therefore, by keeping association with pure sadhus, one can become a pure sadhu. Thus, the association of pure sadhus is the root cause of all good fortune.
Yes, we take on their qualities if we're in that association, those qualities. And conversely, if we don't take on those qualities, if we take on the qualities of materialistic people, then we're going to be deviated completely, because what are the desires of the conditioned soul? They want to enjoy matter. But the sadhak, he wants to reject that. He wants to relish the sweetness of Brajaras. So we'll continue tomorrow. We never seem to have enough time, actually. 1 hour is not really enough, actually, to we just begin and then we stop. But it's okay because I'm doing every day. But they say that the mind's retention is only good for 40 or 50 minutes, so we'll leave it there. Jaiva-Dharma ki jai, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gopremanandi, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavivcha, Patitanam Bhavnavyo Vaishnavevyo Namaha.